Hi everyone, welcome back. Colin here. Today's project is called Tree Life Simulator. Let's get coding. Let's pop over to Raspberry Pi projects. Oh, I spelt it wrong, but it knows where I'm trying to get to. We're going to come down to the protecting our planet, and we're going for Tree Life Simulator. And in this game, we're going to create a simulation of managing a forest. So we're going to press the green flag to go. We can use this button here or this slider here to control how quickly the trees reappear. We have a count of the number of mature trees that are on the screen. We've got some random effects that are coming through to destroy trees, such as representing natural disasters. We have a lady called Maya who's giving us a message, and we have a tractor which is going to go and harvest trees for us. So let's say we wanted it to harvest 10 trees. Off it poodles to get the trees, running over Mr. Potato Head, coming down to the Jungle Book. And when it's collected all the trees that we asked to collect, it stops. And we can run the simulation again. What are you going to need? You're going to need an online or offline Scratch. Don't forget, if you're using offline Scratch, to download the starter file, which has all the bits and bobs in it. You're going to learn about clones and using random numbers to simulate a natural environment. And we're going to use the greater than and less than operators to control the simulation. And you're also going to be able to create a program which simulates tree management, which you can then help communicate an environmental issue. Right, let's go to our starter project. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remix this project, which gives me a copy of it. I'll just change the name to be Colin. We have 4 sprites in this project. The first one is the Maya sprite. She's got some starter code to put her in the right position. She only has 1 costume, so she's not very complicated. We've got a tree sprite that has no code on it, but has 3 costumes. Looks like from Lion King here, or Noah's Ark. Then it looks like we've got a scene from, or a tree from Jungle Book. And then this bottom one to me looks like Mr. Potato Head, but I guess that's another woodland scene. Our tree fella is the tractor in the top corner of the screen. It has no code and 1 costume. And we have natural disasters, which has 3 costumes representing a forest fire, a tornado, and a drought. And they're going to come whizzing through our presentation at random intervals. And there's no code on that. I'm just going to put my tree back to the first costume so that it looks like the instructions. The next thing I'm going to do is put my screen into split screen. So I just drag the tab down and I'm going to press Windows and right arrow key. Come back to this one, Windows left arrow key, and then squidge that over to the left. And now we've got a thin panel for our instructions. And so make sure we've got this tree sprite selected. We're going to go to the coding area and we're going to add a green flag clicked block. Green flag block. And we're going to add on a forever loop. Go to a position, motion, go to change that into 0, 0, but I know we're going to be changing that again in a moment. And we're going to then create a clone of ourselves. We want to change the 0, 0 on here to be a random position on the screen, and it's going to be random so that x is between 150, minus 150 and 200, and y is between minus 120 and plus 120. So let's go to operators and get 2 of those. And the first one was minus 150 to plus 200, and that's going to be for our x position. And the y one is minus, just remind myself, minus 120 to plus 120. And we'll pop that in there. Let's do a little test. And we're currently creating clones of the tree sprite, and just for information, the most clones it can create or will create is 300. And let's just stop that now. So that's working, but what we want to do is we want to make it so we're making the tree start in a random position. Now we want it to start, we want to make it appear as a random tree. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to create another control that when I start as a clone, I'm going to switch my costume to a random number between 1 and 3, because this sprite has 3 costumes, 1, 2, 3. Although this looks like I can only have tree 1, tree 2 or tree 3, I can actually pop one of these random blocks over the top of that. So go back to operators, change that to be 3. Oh, and incidentally, what if you were a little bit nosy or a little bit curious, if I double click on this, or if I click on this block, you can see that the random numbers it's currently picking appears as a appears in a little window. So let's pop that in there so that overwrites what's in there. Let's press the run button. That's excellent. I got the 3 different tree sprites appearing and in random positions. It's being built in the area that I've asked it to be built, because there's a blank panel down the left and a blank row along the top, and there's also a blank space along the bottom. So that's good. Press the stop button. We want to now simulate the trees growing, so we're going to do that by when I start as a clone block, initially set the size to 0%. Now if I press the green button now, you'll see that just lots of little teeny weeny trees appear. It's always good practice to test your code as you go along, so you can see how it's working. And we're going to add a repeat loop in here. So repeat until, which is that one there. We want to go and grab the equals operator and pop that in there. Change the second number to 20, and then go back to looks, and at the bottom of looks there's a predefined variable called size, or it's a property of our sprite, and if I click on that I can see it says 20. So I'm just going to pop that in there, and what this loop will do is it will start off at 0, and then inside the loop will keep going until the size equals 20. So it's going to go back to 0, and then run through this loop. But we need to put something in here to make it increase in size. So we're going to add in a change size by 1. So that's again under looks, and that's change size by 1. And we want to wait 0.1 seconds. That's a control. Wait 0.1. Oh, 0.1, Colin. Let's press the green flag, see what happens. Well, that looks impressive. My trees are growing at the right rate and the right size, so that looks good. But you'll notice when we stop the game, we've got a random sprite at a start position that we want to change. Or actually, we're just going to hide it because we don't need it there to start. So under looks, when the green flag is clicked, we're going to hide the sprite, and then when I start as a clone, we're going to make it appear. So now if I press start and stop, we don't get that lonely sprite sitting on the desktop waiting. Cool. Save our project, save now. Going to move on to tree management now. So trees in the forest, the rate at which trees in the forest grow depends on the environment, soil quality, disease, sunlight, water, all those kind of things, and also impacted by natural disasters such as fires, earthquakes and that kind of thing. And the way we're going to simulate that is by introducing a variable called tree management, which will actually just control the time that it takes between the trees to appear. So let's go to variables and make a variable. I like to use an underscore between the words in my variables. You don't need to. You could use tree space management. It's just good practice to keep variable names as one word, which will save you problems later on in life with bigger problems, with a program seeing that as two things and the second thing not being properly defined. So I right click on my tree management variable on the screen. I can change that to a slider. If I right click on it again now, I can change the range that the slider slides to. So I want a value between 0 and 5. So now my variable will just go between between 0 and 5. Let's drag that down the bottom row like that. And we're going to use the timer block for this. And timer is under sensing. And there's the timer block here. And we need the reset timer. And I'll just drag timer onto the desktop because we'll need that in a moment. And on our code, when the green flag is clicked, we'll reset the timer. And we're going to use a formula for working out when the tree should appear. So we're just going to copy the code that's on the screen here at the moment. So we're going to add a repeat until loop inside our when the green flag is clicked. So that's a control, repeat until, and we want the greater than operator, which is that one there. Timer is bigger than 6. Oh no, not yet. And in here we're going to add another operator into this operator. So we want the minus. So we'll do some maths. So we're going to take 6 away from the value that's being held in tree management. So that's where the slider down here comes in. So basically this loop is going to keep going. The bigger timer is made, the less time there's going to be between the trees appearing. Let's put the control, the wait in there. Wait 1 second. And we need to pop that in just underneath that reset timer there. Okay, so the way this works is if timer is if we've got lots of tree management going on and the number's bigger, there'll be more the trees will appear more quickly, will appear faster. So they appear about 1 every second now. And if I slide that down to here, it's taking longer between the trees to appear. And that's representing us managing the trees, or the tree environment. And we've tested that as we've gone along, so that's looking good to me. Save now. Right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to count the number of trees, and to do that we need to have another variable. So come to variables, create a variable, mature trees. Okay. And when we normally when we create any variable, we always have to have a like setting its initial value, and we can do exactly the same thing here for mature trees. So when the green flag is clicked, set mature trees to, actually I've named that wrong, haven't I? I'm just going to, if I right click here, I can put an S on the end of that and then say OK. And then that's been updated everywhere it needs to be. And inside our, so that sets our mature trees variable to 0. Put that down here. And when I start as a clone, when this tree gets to be full size, we then want it to add 1 to our variable. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to add a change mature trees block on the bottom of that. So this, when I start as a clone, I'm going to go to random position. I'm going to make myself really small. Then I'm going to grow. And then once I've reached full size, I'm then going to change the value of mature trees by 1. Let's speed this up. Let's make that 6. Let's press green. So we've got 2 trees on the screen now. That's shown 2. Okay, so that seemed to be working as well. So I'm pleased with that. The real test would be if I let this run forever, it shouldn't get any bigger than 300. That's something you might like to try. We're now going to think about how our tree feller, or this tractor thing, is going to interact. So we want to, every time the tree feller touches a mature tree, we need to make the tree disappear and take 1 off of the variable mature trees. So inside, when I start as a clone block, we've got this block at the moment already for adding when mature trees reach maturity. We're going to add a wait until, and we're going to use touching tree fella. It sounds like a person, doesn't it? But it's the tractor thing. Tree fella. Pop that on the bottom. And then we're going to change mature trees by -1. So this is taking 1 away from our value of mature trees. So change mature trees by -1. And then we're going to delete this clone. Right. We haven't got any movement on the tractor at the moment, so let me just see if I can simulate this. So if I wait for that to come up there, so because I'm dragging the tractor around, or the tree feller around, you can see the number of mature trees is decreasing when I park it on top of a fully grown tree. So that seems to be working fine. I'll press stop, come back to my tree. We're going to add in now some further tree deductions for when oh, that's my cat. She's come to say hello. Haven't you? Here's my cat. See my cat. Oh. So we're going to add another when I start as a clone block onto our tree. So it's under the control. When I start as a clone, wait until touching natural disaster. Wait until touching, I'm just going to pinch this one from here. Touching natural disaster. So remember, we haven't coded the natural disaster yet, but when it appears, we're going to make it use this code. So we're going to create an if-then loop. So if size is equal to 20, so we want one of those equal sign blocks. And we're going to go for looks, and down the bottom there was that size property block. Change that to be 20. Change mature trees by -1 and delete the clone. So I need both those blocks there, but they're in the wrong place. Put that one in there, put that there, add that to there. So we can't actually test this one just yet because we haven't coded for the natural disaster. But hopefully when one of the natural disasters comes on the screen and touches a tree, it's going to change mature trees by 1 and delete the clone, but it will only do it for the full size trees. Save our project. Human deforestation. So now we're going to go back to programming our tractor to go collecting trees. So let's click on the tree fella sprite, and we want a when this sprite is clicked. We're going to ask a question: how many trees are needed? Maximum 20. So this block is under sensing, and that's a funny place, but that's where it's put. And how many trees are needed? Question mark. Max 20. Just because we put max 20 in there, we've got to do some coding to make sure it doesn't go over 20. We then need to create a variable called trees needed. So a variable trees needed, and we're on our block here. We're now going to do change trees needed. Oh no, yes, change trees needed by the answer that's given. So in sensing, we've got an answer block here, which is where, so when Scratch asks a question, the answer is automatically applied to this pre-made variable called answer. We can do something with that later on with in other programs, but it's a place to store the answer to the input that somebody's put to the question, and the question is only asked when the sprite is clicked, like that. We're going to put the test on now to make sure the answer is less than 20. So we're going to get an if loop. If, and it's the greater than sign. And the variable was trees needed. If trees needed is greater than 20, then we're just going to set the value of trees needed to 20. Set trees needed to 20. Let's just test that works. So if I click on my tractor, it's going to ask how many trees are needed. I'm going to put 5 in there for the moment, and you can see trees needed is changed to 5. Let's just click on it a second time. Click on for 20, and that's set trees needed to 20. Let's try and bust it. Let's go for a big number. I'll press tick, and it's just automatically set trees to 20. So that's good. What we need to do is we need to do that initialization thing again, is that when the green flag is clicked, just set trees needed to 20. Set trees needed to 20. Oops, to 0, sorry. Need to update our tree code. And we need to change the weight part of the routine down here of these when I start as a clone. So I'm just going to break that down like that. So we need to change to say wait until touching tree fellow, which we've got. And we've got another operator here, and, or another condition. And you got that one there. And we need the greater than one. And we're going to build this up to be trees needed is greater than 0. Trees needed is greater than 0. And then we're going to pop that big block in there. We're going to stick that back in there. We need to add a reduction to trees needed by -1. So if the tree fella's touching a tree, that means it's harvested it. We've changed mature trees by 1, but we also need to change trees needed by -1. So change trees needed by -1. Link those all together. This bit's quite long, isn't it? Yeah, so they're quite right. Our screen is looking a little bit busy with the variables on the screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to we don't need trees needed to be visible on screen. So if I just untick trees needed here, that gets rid of that variable up there. And so we know that means mature trees. So that's just counting the number of mature trees. On our tree fella, we're going to add some code to make sure that when the game starts, the tree fella starts in the same position. So under looks, we're going to first of all set its rotation style to left and right. That means it'll keep in that upright position. We're going to go to -200, 150. So basically that's putting the tree fella back in that start position. So go to -200 plus 150, pop that under there, and point in direction 90, which means it'll just it'll be pointing in the right direction. Point in direction 90 to the right. Click in there, we can see that's the direction it's going to be pointing. So our tree fella is going to move through our forest, and the way we're going to do that is by making it move 4 steps. So each time it's going to keep going 4 steps at a time. So in our when this sprite is clicked, we've got to add to the bottom of this the movement part. So repeat until. So we're going to get the tree fella, keep it going until the number of trees needed is 0. So repeat until. We want that equals operator. We want the variable trees needed. Put that in there. Equals 0. And we want it to move 4 steps. Motion, move 4 steps. Let's run that. Let's click on my tree fella. Let's say I want it to go and get 5 trees. So he's just gone along top and he's stopped, because that's all we've coded. We've only ever told it to go forward. So what we need to do now is we need to tell it if on the edge to turn around and come down. So We're going to add under inside that loop there an if statement, an if then statement. If touching edge, that's under sensing, and it's this block here. We can change the drop down there to be edge. We want it to turn around 180 degrees. Turn around 180 degrees. Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Look at him going at the top there. 180. And change Y by -40. Change Y. So that brings him down the page by -40. Let's just press the stop button and then the start button and click on the tractor again. So we want 5. So off it poodles, touching the edge, come down, turn around, touching the edge, come down, turn around. And after it's picked up those 5 that I asked it to go and get, it stopped. Perfect. At the moment, our sprite knows nothing about going back up the page. So we need to add another if loop in here. And that's under control. And it's an if then. Pop that in the bottom there. And it's the less than sign operator. Y position is like a property of the tree fella. So if I go to motion, and in motion I've got Y position. Again, if I click on that, I can see that its current position is Y position, which is up and downwards, is 70. And I can drag that in, pop that in there. If the Y position is less than -108, 120, so let's just simulate that. If I bring him down the page here, I'm just going to park it there. If I click on Y position, let's just break that out. If I click on Y position, that says -122. So this attribute block here is telling us where the Y position is of our tree fella. And all we're going to do is here is we're going to put a check in here. So if the position is less than 120, then go back to the start, which is that block there. Duplicate that one there, and I'll put those both in there and press start, press go. Let's say I want to go and get 100 or 10. Oh, he's gone back to the top. We're going to have a long wait. Why aren't my trees appearing? I didn't press the stop button, did I? Okay, we're just testing the tractor at the moment. So that's good. So that's the tractor working properly. It doesn't press the stop button, press the start button again. And look, my trees are appearing. Phew. Okay, stop that. So now we're going to get the tree fella to put a message on the screen once it's collected the 200 or the number of trees we've asked it to get, to say job completed or request completed. So that's under looks, and just pop that on the bottom there. Requests completed. And leave that at 2 seconds. So let's just run this. Leave that on 5. Click on my tree fella. Let's make him just go and get 1. Pop. Request completed. Notice you've got my mature trees counter is going up here. So we're going to add another instruction here that once the tree filler has completed harvesting the trees, we're going to get it to go and park itself in the left hand side of the screen. So the way we're going to do that is, again, on the end of our block, we're going to set the X position to -200, so that's right over on the left hand side. The motion, change X to set X to that one there, -200, and point in direction 90. That means it'll point out to the right, and point in direction is that one there. Stop and run. Click on the tractor unit. I'm going to say I just want 2 trees, please. Thank you very much. Off we go. Pop, pop. Request completed. And the tractor's then moved over to the left hand side, ready to start doing another harvest. Save our project. I've just saved automatically for me. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do something about monitoring the tree levels. Trees give us, trees breathe in carbon dioxide, CO2, and emit oxygen, which is what we breathe, and helps animals breathe. And we're going to add some code now to monitor the number of trees and add a message to say if the tree area is healthy or too small. So we're going to click on our Maya sprite, and the first thing we do is we're going to set tree management to 0. So don't forget, this is how we were changing the delay between the trees growing. Under variables, set tree management to 0. And now we're going to get it so that if the mature tree count is less than 0, Maya's going to say, oh, we need more trees. We need more trees. So go under control, and that's a forever loop. And an if then block inside that forever. I'll come down to our operators, get that equals 1. Pick on the variable mature trees is equal to 0. Then say, and say is that thing under looks. Pop that in there. Help. Our planet needs more trees. Can't spell. Planet needs more trees. So we're going to set up a message to appear when the number of mature trees left is greater than 0 and less than 10. So we're going to add an if-then block inside our forever loop. So it's going to look like this. So we're going to add an alert so that when the number of mature trees left is greater than 0 and less than 10, Maya's going to give us a warning. So we want another one of those if loops. If, and it's a one with a then on the end of it. If then, we want the and operator to first of all, because that's the one that's at the back. If mature trees is greater than 0, so we want the greater than one. Pop that in that left hand one. And variable mature trees. Oh, I've got the wrong. No, I haven't. Greater than 0 and less than 10. So this is like giving us a range of values here. And mature trees is less than 10. then Maya's going to say that the tree level is at a dangerous level. I'm just going to duplicate that block there, pop that in there, change these words. Global warning is at dangerous levels for 2 seconds, and we're sticking that inside our forever loop. And we're going to add another alert here. It's not really an alert, it's more a we're doing well. It's an observation message. So I'm going to duplicate this block here, just park that on the desktop there. So if mature trees is greater than 50 and what's it saying there, and less than 60, the message becomes animals have many habitats. Animals have many habitats. So let's pop that in under the block there, and let's run our simulation. Stop and then run, and watch our mature trees count here. So I'm just going to speed her up. So tree level is at 3. It's a warning. So when this gets to 10, it should stop. There, it's gone. I've got to wait to so when it gets to 50, she says, "Oh, animals have many habitats." So that's good. And again, I could start chopping trees away now by bringing the tree fella in, but I'm not going to. Natural deforestation. So this is where we're going to bring in our natural disasters. So click on our natural disaster block. First of all, when the green flag is clicked, we want to make sure it stays hidden, because at the moment this sprite has got it's been hidden anyway, but once we start introducing it, it will appear, and then it needs changing. So when the green flag is clicked, we're going to make sure we start with it hidden, and that's under looks, hide, and forever, we're going to add a forever loop. Control forever, go to 0 to 100, motion, go to 0 to 100, and then we're going to make it appear, show, and then glide for 3 seconds to the opposite corner. Motion, glide, 3 seconds to 0 minus 200. What we're going to make it do is we're going to make it hide at the end of that block. And switch to the next costume. So the way we're going to delay the start of these natural disasters is by putting a wait between 10 and 20 seconds. So go back to control, bring in a wait, pop that on the top there, pick random, so that was under operators if you remember. Operators between 10 and 20 seconds. So now those natural disasters won't appear for at least 10 seconds and for no more than 20 seconds. And that purring is my other cat. my other cat. Oh, sorry about that. So now we're going to introduce some randomness for where our natural disaster starts. So we're going to pick a random number for the X position of minus 200 plus 200. Minus 200 plus 200. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate that because I need the same thing again in a minute. Minus 200 plus 200 and glide 3 seconds to another random position. And then just talk around what's happening within the project. We're going to press the green flag to start. Maya gives us a message because our tree level is down to 0. We do some tree management. We can increase the delay between the appearance of the trees, and we've got this count coming on down here which is controlling the messages that Maya is talking about. We've just had a random disaster come through which has took the number back down again, so she started talking to us again. If I click on the tree fella, and let's say I want to go and harvest 5 trees. And don't forget the harvesting only works on trees that are fully grown. Click on the tractor again, tree fella again. And that's the game. Usual things if you want to share your project, and I'll just put a link for my project in the at the end of the project. To share a project, you press the share button, and strongly recommend we don't leave commenting turned on, and copy the link, and that URL there is the same as the one at the top up here, and paste that into Facebook, and then we can have a look and see what you've done. Whew, I don't know about you, but that was a long session, including the cats visiting, which was nice. And the next project we'll be looking at is called Count the Creatures. Okay, see you next time. Bye.